Hello. It's a while since I've played, done any testing with the post-Simian ban Ad Naus. I did kind of develop the Esper Inverter version, and I was reasonably happy with that. That being said, with these new Modern Horizons 2 spoilers, there are some game changers potentially, and the most interesting of those to me, at the moment at least, is Profane Tutor. So, what? I mean, people have various lists going around with Profane Tutor. I will say that sort of the flares on mine that kind of make mine a little bit different. One is I'm running the Wishclaw Talismans. So I'm trying to really just get a critical density of tutors. So we kind of have 16 white cards, 15 blue cards, plus Shelldock Isle, and then 12 spoils of the vault. So the idea here is that we are just ridiculously redundant. We will draw multiples of each combo piece per game, and we can essentially use our extra combo pieces to force through our combo, ideally. Or survive long enough to combo in the sense of like white cards. So I first threw together a list that was pretty similar to this, and got a 5-0 in my first league with Profane Tutor. I'm not going to be going through that league just because I feel like the matchups in that one are maybe a little bit less interesting. I'm going to be running through a league here where I ended up getting a 4-1. However, I think it was potentially some more interesting matchups. We played against 3 discard decks and beat all of them. So maybe kind of illustrating the power of Profane Tutor against discard. I want to talk a bit about some card choices here. One, I have this single copy of Ad Nauseam. Maybe it should be main deck. And so that's one thing I was thinking about. I guess another odd choice here is Slights over Serums. I ran the previous league with Serums. However, I did run into a couple awkward situations where I wanted to Serum a card to the top, and then Profane Tutor was coming off Suspend in the upkeep and shuffling away my scries. So because Profane Tutor was messing up my scries, I mean, I actually did lose a game to that specifically. Slide also gives higher upside in terms of finding Lotus Bloom on turn 1. So I'm kind of interested in playing some Slights here. I wanted to go up to 21 lands. I do feel like it is a little bit more important to make sure you actually do hit 4 lands on your first 4 turns with this deck. Ad Nauseam, like classically, sometimes you just needed 3 land drops in your first 4 turns, and then you would draw your Bloom, and then you would Bloom Great, and then you'd have 6 mana for Ad Naus and Angel's Grace. But here, I think the land drops are a little more important, and so I've gone up to 21 lands. The 7 blue cards, the 3 Jason and 4 Oracle, along with Shelldock Isle. So I'm running Shelldock Isle over the Temples. If we can hit a blue card with this, it's kind of... Here's kind of how to think about Shelldock Isle. Shelldock Isle is like Impulse stapled to a land, almost. And if you hit Jace, you actually get a discount on it. Occasionally you can hit Interaction and have that be relevant. Occasionally it has other various things. It lets you win at instant speed. It lets you, like, put combo pieces under it against Dredge because they're going to shrink their library enough. It lets you hide things from Surgicals. Shelldock is a fantastic card. If you have not played around with Shelldock really, I highly suggest you do so. It is, however, not an easy card to play. There is a lot of mind games that go into Shelldock Isle. It's very powerful potentially at little to no cost though. I mean, the cost is that here we're skipping some scries. That's it, right? With proper land sequencing, you shouldn't really be in a spot where you need to worry about a land coming into play tapped or untapped on turn 4. Now, sure, it's possible you top deck the wrong land, but for the most part, if you sequence your lands correctly, you shouldn't have to worry about that. In the sideboard, I have some attempts at Silver Bullets, Godhead, Solemnity are maybe the most notable. We have some Thought Seizes, we have some removal. We have this single Ad Nauseam, which maybe should be main deck, I'm not sure. Then we have Out of Time here to try. I mean, I guess slight spoilers, I did not like it against Death and Taxes. It honestly just felt horrible against Flicker Wisp. Like, it wasn't going to do anything. That being said, maybe against some other type of aggressive deck where they don't have the ability to interact with it as easily, it could be a lot better. So let's jump into the recaps. I played these matches earlier, but figured we'll go back and give them a quick little rundown, and I'll try and talk through some of the decision points. All right, I'm here with match 1 against Kid Boo. Let's play through this. Wait, okay, cool. Okay, so Shelldock. This hand, I don't love this as far as hands to keep. However, I mean, we have Slight. We're gonna hit our land drops. We have a Wish Claw. I mean, at the moment, it's kind of looking like a turn 5 combo. But if we hit like a Unlife, this could conceivably turn into a turn 4. So our opponent Thought Seizes us. Hang on, what the heck? Okay, so our opponent Thought Seizes themselves and discards a Woodfall Primus, showing a hand that contains 2 persists. So they're going to kill one of our lands when they reanimate. But I mean, that's just kind of what's happening. So they reanimate the Woodfall Primus, blow up our Shelldock Isle. I didn't play the second Shelldock Isle on 2, just because they're going to blow up a Shelldock Isle, and since I don't yet have like a Thassa's Oracle or something like that, I don't want to show them that and I don't want to show them that like I have another one, and then maybe they get a 50-50 at hitting something relevant to me. Here, it's not like I need this land to be in play already tapped. I can just slightly slow down when I play this Wish Claw. That's perfectly fine. I mean, I could play it next turn off of like the pathway, or I could play the Shelldock and then play it the turn after. Either of those are very reasonable options. So I'm not so eager to play this yet. Oh, right, I forgot I had a Bloom on Suspend. Yeah, I have a Bloom on Suspend. So that makes this Shelldock coming in tapped even less likely to matter. So that's basically irrelevant. Okay, so we draw another land. This is not great. I really do need this Shelldock to hit. I'm going to play out this Wish Claw, just because if they have more discard that they draw, I'd rather have this Wish Claw in play than get it discarded. So we play the Wish Claw, and we go to their turn, and they grief, and they're going to take our Angel's Grace. So it is pretty good that we played that Wish Claw out. And they're just going to chip away with their Primus. And here, so here we have our Bloom coming off this. Oh no, it comes off next turn. Okay, so drew another land. Again, not great. I really need this Shelldock to hit. And it doesn't. So I'm not too happy about that. But I put a Pact under it for defense. And let's see what happens. So they have drew a Collective Brutality. Joke's on them because we don't have any instants or sorceries. They attack with the Woodfall Primus, putting us to 10. So we do kind of need to draw something here. I could maybe consider Wish Clawing for an Unlife or something like that, but I don't really know what is in their deck. I mean, if they would just get a discard spell as like the best interactive piece they could get, that would be fine. But they might be able to like get an Ephemerate if they're playing like Primus and Grief here and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be too surprised if they had Ephemerate, and that would end pretty badly for me because then they could flicker the Primus, kill the what's it called, the Unlife or the Wish Claw, and then kill it again, kill the other one the next turn. So we go back to my turn. Bloom comes into play. We draw an Unlife, so that's fantastic. Now we can just play that out without worrying about what they could get with a Wish Claw. And now we are we're also still insulated against discard, and we also have more time against this Primus, potentially, if they're just swinging with it. Now, we are currently at, so we have, so any black, so Spoils, another Wish Claw, Jace, and Oracle all win us the game. So we have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Wait, 8, 7, 7. Yeah, we have 14 immediate outs to win. And then Shelldocks are, I mean, there's also 2 Shelldocks as potential blue cards. And there's Profane Tutors as a bit of a delay. So I would, and there's the Slight as a redraw. So there's 14 outs, a redraw, and 6 pseudo hits. So pretty close to half of our deck is pretty good in this spot. So let's see what happens. I think, do they fetch with clearing? I don't remember. Oh, they do. Or they, you know, draw. Okay, so they're going to attack us again. Go to 5. And we draw one of our many, many outs. So we can just Wish Claw for Spoils and then kill them. Notably, we actually have enough mana here. So we'll have 8 mana in total if we play a land. Jace costs 4. Wish Claw for Spoils costs 2, meaning that Shelldock, we can hold up Pact with Shelldock in case they have some sort of interaction piece. I don't know, Vindicate or something like that. So what we're going to do is before we play this Jace, we are going to Wish Claw for Spoils and make ourselves look as open as we possibly can. Kind of hoping that if they have, like, say, a Vindicate or something like that, they're going to try to save it to use it on the Unlife to get us. So we play the Spoils first. I'm going to play it off the City of Breast so I don't take the infect damage. It's not going to matter here at all, but it's just, you know, minor habit type thing. So we play the Spoils. We name Simian Spirit Guide, of course. We exile our entire library. And now, if they try to do anything, we have Pact online from under this Shelldock Isle. We can play Jace. And we can win. So that's game 1. So let's take a look at game number 2 here. Spoilers, we win this one. Okay, so we keep a hand here that they reveal Chancellor of the Annex. We have a bloom, we have a land, we have a bunch of good combo pieces. We really need to draw a land or two, though, especially now that they drew a Chancellor of the Annex. Okay. So this hand is yeah, I remember this game. This is a weird game. As you'll see in a minute. So we drew another land. That's fantastic. We have no turn 1 play, so we can lead on the Shell Dock and we can play a Lotus Bloom. I don't love... Well... Alright, yeah. So the plan at the moment... Okay, we don't hit off of this, but the plan at the moment, if we had hit, would have been to turn 2 suspend a Profane, and then we would have just had the mana to Grace... actually, yeah, we would have had the mana to Grace Spoils Oracle, because we could have filtered mana through the Pentad Prism, even if we didn't draw another land. I mean, we could have played the Pentad on 2, or we could have... we had a million different options. We could have played the Wishclaw and gotten a land with the Wishclaw on 4 to like filter one of the blue mana to some other color if needed, or whatever. Anyway. Not that we needed to filter in the first place. I don't even know why I'm talking about that. Really what I'm talking about here is, or what I wanted to get at is, there are sometimes tricky decisions here between Wishclaw, Profane, and Pentad Prism. And deciding which one to play on turn 2 is not always that easy. Generally, I feel like the rule of thumb should be to play Profane on 2. However, sometimes you are in a spot where you don't actually need that Profane Tutor, and like playing a Pentad or something guarantees that you will be in position for a turn 4 kill when playing one of the tutors maybe doesn't, or playing Wishclaw sets up a guaranteed kill of some kind and one of the tutors doesn't, or something like that. So definitely put thought into which 2-drop to play. It's not always so clear cut, and just make sure you're planning ahead when you do so. Think about like what your most likely path to victory is at any given point. Alright, so we miss on the Shell Dock. I'm going to put the path underneath because having the Ad Nauseam underneath is not particularly useful. And then we suspend bloom. So they're going to entomb a Archon of Cruelty. So that's interesting. They're just basically playing like Legacy Red-Black Reanimator in Modern. Obviously it's a little bit slower because there's no Dark Ritual. Their Entomb costs 2 and whatnot. So, okay. Go back to our turn. Now remember the Archon is still there. So I have the option here of throwing away the Wishclaw or the Pentad into the Archon, but I think it's more important to just get the Profane down. If we get the Profane down, next turn ideally I'll draw a land, and then I can not actually have to throw one of these away. So that's kind of what I would be thinking. I'm thinking next turn if I can draw a land and play Wishclaw, then I'm all set for the turn 4 kill. So what do? They grief us and take the Wishclaw. Okay, not ideal. And then they bring back this Archon of Cruelty. Now fortunately I do have an abundance of white cards to discard. So I can just ditch the Unlife. I ditched the Unlife because I'm figuring I'm probably not getting to 4 lands in play in order to play this Unlife. Because remember they have the Archon, so I think it's much more likely that the white card I use this game is going to be an Angel's Grace. So Profane and Bloom are ticking down. Now I'm hoping for a land so that I can... Well, honestly, the land doesn't matter that much. I mean, Spoils or Thassa's Oracle would have probably been the best draws. But instead I draw a Bloom, which is pretty terrible. So I throw away this Pentad to just get rid of the Chancellor trigger. I would have considered throwing away a Grace had I had a white mana to play it, but I don't. So now they attack. Oh, they Brutality us, take a Grace. Now they attack. So I kept this Bloom in hand as discard food for the Archon. Because now, actually, there is some threat that I might run out of white cards. Because they had this extra Brutality. And so my stuff is coming off Suspend. And I'm kind of in a bad shape because I'm dead next turn. And so I also am not going to be able to win this turn. So what I end up doing is sorry, that like went fast. I get path, and then I path their fatty, figuring that maybe that buys me enough time to kind of claw back out of this terrible situation. I do have to burn my bloom to do it. I was hoping I would top deck a white land. However, I do draw an unlife for the turn, so if I wasn't going to draw a white land, that's kind of second best, because at least I get to put this unlife down using the bloom mana. And now I'm honestly not too far away. I just need to draw a spoils, an oracle, and a land. And you know, we have a lot of redundancy to maybe get us there. Alright, so we play the unlife. They brutality and take our last grace. But we're both just kind of top decking now. So untap, draw for turn. I draw spoils. That's good. The risk here is that it gets discarded. But it doesn't so far. And then I draw a Shellduck Isle, which is again quite good. But we miss, which is not good. So the only option here is really to take the Spell Pierce. So Thought Seize, and I spoils for a Shelldock in response, figuring that will exile a good chunk of my library, give me options at hitting a white card. Now, the one downside here is that I burned 3 of my spoils with that spoils, so I'm out of spoils. And there are 24 cards left in my deck. However, my opponent is not doing very much at the moment. So hopefully, we'll be able to claw our way out of this somehow. Okay, so we draw another miss with the third Shellduck Isle, which is kind of insane actually, given that we have 4 blue cards in about 20 cards. So it's like pretty likely that we hit there. And then we suspend this Profane Tutor, which is a decent draw. At the moment, I mean, I have 1 Jace left, and what I would like to do is get Jace, and then just put Jace in play and start minusing on, or plussing on myself, because I need to get rid of these cards somehow. And I don't have spoils. I do have and I also lost Ad Nauseam. So yeah, so I don't have Ad Nauseam either. Okay, so Profane Tutor is ticking down. I play a Gemstone Mine. My opponent reanimates a Chancellor. I do something very stupid where I thought I had less than 20 or less cards already, and I try to use this path, and I'm like, oh, I'll just use it next turn when I have 20. And then I try and use it during my upkeep so I don't have to play for the Profane Tutor. And again, I still have 21 cards because I didn't draw for turn yet. I was like, which is really stupid on my part. But I get the Jace with the Profane, which I actually kind of think about, because if they play a discard spell here and take the Jace, it is actually very bad for me. So what I was actually thinking about is just getting another Profane to kind of float the ability to pull the Jace out until a couple turns from now. But I figure, okay, next turn I'm going to be able to path, and if I draw land, I can path and play Jace, and just getting this Jace down as soon as possible is important enough that I'm willing to risk the discard spell. Because they could at any time just like top deck their way out of this. So we draw an Oracle. Which is not great, but I mean, I guess it's kind of nice alongside Jace, because I could potentially just like bypass several cards with like a Devotion 5 Oracle. So our opponent hits me with Chancellor, and then they Thoughtseize and they make a huge mistake and take Oracle. That's just a massive mistake. I'm not sure what they were thinking about, but given that they should know that all of my ways to get rid of my library are gone, I mean, maybe they figure we have an extra Ad Nauseam, but like, I think there's no way you don't take Jace there. Okay, so we go back to my turn. I finally successfully managed to path the Chancellor, and it's a little bit dumb because I forgot that you had to pay for one anyway, so like I wouldn't even be able to get this Jace down. So this means I probably should have taken the Profane Tutor with the first Profane Tutor and just suspended it. So this was a bit of getting the Jace there was a bit of a mistake. But we get rid of the Chancellor. And my opponent does nothing, and we go back to my turn, and I play the Jace, and I mill myself. And here I could hold up the Spell Pierce, or I could play the Profane Tutor. I don't think the Spell Pierce is likely to do very much when they have 8 lands in play. So I just choose to play the Profane Tutor to just try and get cards out of my deck as fast as I can. The goal here is going to be get an Oracle, so that I can, do a big Jace Oracle thing. So they play Grief. However, Grief doesn't kill me in one swing, nor does it kill Jace, so that's good. Tutor ticks down, I mill and just draw lands, play a land, go back to them. They have Grief that they can attack with. They choose to attack me, which I think is the right play. However, they are going to be dead here because I'm going to be able to... So I pull out a Oracle with Profane Tutor. Or no, I pull out a Wish Claw because I have enough mana that I can Wish Claw for Oracle to shrink my deck. And I calculated it out, the number of cards in deck, between Draw Step, Wish Claw for Oracle, and Jace Mill. And it turns out that we will be able to end up with, I think it's Xaxes. So we're Wish Clawing for Oracle. Wait, it's not exact. Well, 4 cards in deck, but still. And then I mill with Jace, and then I Oracle with 4 cards left in the deck with 5 Devotion, and hope that they don't have like a Vindicate, but they would have used it by now to kill my own life, so there's nothing they would have had there. And then we win. So that was a really cool game where we exiled all of our cards and then milled ourselves out with Jace, basically. Or we exiled all of our spoils and then milled ourselves out with Jace. Okay, cool. I'll be right back in a second. Alright, so next up we're against Moli Momaro. So let's see what they are on. So our opening hand here, again, not great. I mean, we do have kind of multiple pieces here between Wish Claw and Unlife, a Slight to maybe find something. So I do keep this. I don't love it. They mull to 6. That's promising. So we lead on a Slight and find a Slight or a Wish Claw. Double Wish Claw can definitely be a bit slow, especially when on a hand where I'm land light, and I think I might need to use a Slight to like find a land or something like that, so I just take the second Slight. Our opponent opens with Inquisition and takes their Wish Claw, so now I'm kind of wishing that I had that other Wish Claw. But we draw a land. I Slight before playing it in case I hit a Shelldock that I would rather play. Because I'm pretty sure I would take a Shelldock there. But instead I just see a Jace and a Thassa's Oracle. Now, against a discard deck like this, you could make a case for just taking Jace, and just figuring you might be able to get Jace into play. However, I feel like with only 3 lands and like not much else going on, that feels really far off. So I'm kind of hoping that, maybe I can just draw spoils and then play an Unlife, and if I never find another land, then I can get there off of Spoils Oracle. And, maybe they don't have another discard spell or something. But they do, and they take our Oracle, so that's slightly sad. So play a Seachrome, play the Unlife. I'd rather get the Unlife down and not have it get discarded, because now I don't care about these Graces. And I'm in no rush to play this Shelldock. So sure, they thought he's taking Grace. We play the Shelldock and we find an Oracle, which is really good, because now we just need a black card and then we win. They draw a Douthie Voidwalker. We do not draw a black card. They attack us a bunch with the Douthie Voidwalker. They have a Grace under the Douthie, but they're attacking with the Douthies. I play a second on life here in case they have like Vindicate or something. Also, so they don't get an unlife. Not that it really matters. Actually, it doesn't matter at all. It's not why I played it. I played it in case they have a Vindicate. They're attacking again for a bunch. So we go to my turn. I still do not have a black card, but I play the Jace here, figuring that I would like to draw yeah, like just take the draw out of black card. Now I'm concerned about, in some situations, them like holding back a Douthie and then having Grace active. But I figure here, if they want to kill the Jace, they have to attack with a Douthie and a Factory, and then like leave back the other Douthie. And based on the fact that they've been attacking with both Douthies, then I just kind of figured that things are a bad enough spot right now that I would rather take the extra chance to find a black card and hope that like they kind of misplay like they have been, than just like take the draw step and maybe not find a black card. So that's kind of where my thought process on that was. But I just draw a land, which is not great. So they animate and they send those at Jace and then one at me to put me to 0. I could have graced here. However, I kind of don't want to give them the second grace under another Douthie, because then they could just have 2 grace up. So I actually choose not to, figuring that, okay, well here I will just take my shot at drawing a black card. And I miss. I play the Pentad because why not? And I hold the Clearwater in case they have like a Lily or something. And so I'd rather not discard the Grace because I really don't need this. They play a small Pox, which is kind of really bad on their part because they have to sack a creature. But I discard the land. I don't need this many lands in play. I just discard an extra Seachrome. So now they really lengthened their clock. They took their clock from a 2-turn clock to a 4-turn clock. And they only have 1 creature to be attacking with, so they can't even really hold up Grace if they want to pressure me. So now, I continue to whiff on black cards. They play a second Douthie. And finally, on the last possible turn, I draw spoils. This Douthie is summoning sick and has not seen a Grace die. This Douthie is tapped, so I just get to kill them with spoils for nothing, and then Oracle. Alright, so on to game 2. So they're like some sort of like black-white, like, I guess you could call it Pox. So they play a swamp and discard me. So I keep this hand on the back of just a lot of redundancy and some lands, which is nice against discard. I take the Oracle as the different piece. It's kind of whatever. That's the thing. Like, you look at a hand where it's like spoils, spoils, Wishclaw, Oracle. What do you even take? Like, I just have so many combo pieces. And the spoils, I have 4 Oracles in hand. I have 3 spoils in hand, and I have 3 Angel's Graces in hand. So it's like you can't actually lock me out of any combo with this discard piece. So I play a land. They don't play anything on their second turn. They play a Factory. I play the Pentad figuring that I actually would like the mana, especially if I'm potentially going to be on a double spoils or double Wishclaw turn. And so if I play a Wish Claw first, they might like attack my Pentad with discard. And I'd like to get this Pentad down, so I play it first. Now I just have all of the combo redundancy, so I'm not too concerned. But they disenchant the Pentad, which I'm kind of sad about. I draw a Profane Tutor. So here, again, I suspend Tutor before playing the Wish Claws, just because, again, there's no rush. Ideally, I just like draw a land next turn, then I can play double Wish Claw, have a Tutor on suspend, and have 2 spoils. So through a discard spell, we just have 5 of whatever combo piece we want, which is really powerful. And the Inquisition, take a spoils, sure. Profane ticks down. Again, I draw something I'd rather play than the Wish Claws. Might as well just get this down. It's the most mana efficient. They're probably, I mean, they disenchanted, but like if they burn the disenchant, how likely are they to have another one? Probably not that likely. So I think this is fairly secure to just get this down into play. And so, you know, we're just being more mana efficient there. Especially when I'm like light on mana, I like that plan a lot. And now, remember that Profane Tutor we had on suspend? We just win, because we have spoils Profane on life and play, 3 mana. We drew an extra land, not that we needed it, and we know we're good to go because they tapped out for Lingering Souls. So that was round 2. So we are 2-0 so far. And we'll be back in a second for round number 3. Alright, we're back with round number 3. And so we start off with losing the die roll and having a hand that I kind of don't love. We do have a white card, and we have a Shelldock. And we have a spoils though, or a slight though. So like, actually this hand is not that bad. We just hit all of our land drops to turn 4. Hopefully we find a blue card with Shelldock. Hopefully we find a Tutor or spoils or something with slight, and then we just get to win on turn 4. Hopefully. So our opponent leads on Field of Ruin, Aether Vial. So that probably means Death and Taxes. So that's not good for us with this, with how heavily we're potentially leaning on this Shelldock. So I notably don't play the Shelldock on turn 1. First of all, ideally, I want to play a really I want to play a Profane Tutor on 2 in order to set up a potential turn 4 where I can suspend the tutor on 2, play Shelldock as my land on 3, hit a blue card, and then just win on 4. And maybe like not look like I'll be able to kill them on 4, so they don't really feel the urgency behind this Field of Ruin or something like that, or also like threaten an instant speed win potentially. So if they like mess up with this Field of Ruin, just like kill them in response. And so that, again, that's just all the sort of stuff that we're thinking about on turn 1 here, in terms of playing our first land. So normally you see a tap land, you're like, okay, well I don't have you know, like I should play the tap land on turn 1, but don't always do that. Okay, so we lead on Slight. We see Gemstone Mine, Phyrexian Unlife, which I do not love, but I really don't need another land, so I'm just going to take this Unlife. They play a Thalia, which is not great. We do draw spoils, but we miss on our Shelldock. So we just need to get up to 4 lands to play this Unlife. They get their Yorion. We just play another land and draw another land. We have too many lands here. They have a Ghost Quarter now, so and we've drawn one of our basics, so that's kind of bad. What did I play? Oh, I had suspended a Profane Tutor rather than play the Unlife. I mean, it's more mana efficient to play the Unlife, but I think At this point, I'm kind of hoping that my play is like, sure, whatever. They like mess with a land or something. We play the Unlife next turn, and then the turn after that, the Profane Tutor comes off. We have 5 lands in play. I can pay for the Profane Tutor. I can pay 2 for the spoils, and then still play the Oracle because the Oracle doesn't get taxed by Thalia. So that's kind of the plan that I'm looking at, and that's why I played the Profane Tutor there over the Unlife. I think it is correct to play the Tutor there. Playing the Unlife doesn't set up a kill in 2 turns. Playing the Tutor does. So it really just comes down to that. Okay, so our Seachrome is currently Flicker Wisped away. They Yorion out the Flicker Wisp so that it comes back on end step and gets to take another land of ours, which honestly is not a huge deal because we still just get to play the Unlife anyway. So that's good. Now we're just kind of hoping that they don't use this Ghost Quarter. They have Maul of the Skyclaves, so I mean that's whatever. I mean, that's like one of the least scary things they could possibly play here. And then they attack in for 11, but I mean I have 5 mana next turn. Sure, they have an untapped land. And then they ephemerate their Flicker Wisp. Blink the Unlife and kill us. So we were so close to winning this game 1. Playing Ephemerate in your Thalia deck seems kind of questionable. I mean, I guess maybe if they're a Yorion deck, they have like too many cards to like be worried about. I mean, like they can afford a little bit of a non-bow potentially, just because there's so many cards that you're like less likely to have the Thalia in any particular game. I don't really know the structure of Taxes decks. I mean, I know in Legacy, like you obviously have to play Swords, just because Swords is so good. But I mean, maybe they don't anymore now with the new Evoke Swords. No, it just seems so much worse though. Like going down a card. I don't know. Not my style of deck at all. I don't enjoy playing Taxes. Okay, so that's game 1. So game number 2 is as follows. I guess you get a bit of a spoiler that we win this one. Why did I click yes? Okay, so this hand has a lot of removal and a Thoughtseize. And we have 2 lands and a Grace and the Spoils. So they can't really interact with Grace or Spoils. That's good. I'm just hoping that like our removal and stuff buys us time to find a white land and then finally a 4th land in order to just win with whatever we hit off the Shelldock, which relying on the Shelldock is a little bit risky against Taxes just because they can kill it, but we don't hit a blue card anyway, so now we're like kind of a step further away, which I don't love. We draw a black source, and I suspend the Profane Tutor rather than play the Thoughtseize. I'm thinking if we potentially get choked on mana here, it could be very valuable to just like have the ability to go get a land with the Profane Tutor. And I mean, I have 2 paths in case they had like a Thalia or something. I just need to draw a white source, and the Profane Tutor will get me a white source, so I have that covered. So draw a Stoneforge, and that's like honestly not scary at all. So at 19, we draw the white land, which is lovely, but they don't actually have anything I want to path really, because I don't care about Stoneforge. So I just play Thoughtseize. And their hand's like not that great. They have a Skyclave, they have Ephemerate. I take Skyclave because there's a chance that like I draw an Unlife and then play an Unlife, and then my route to comboing is Spoils plus getting a Oracle with the Profane Tutor, and then not needing to find another land. And so Skyclave could mess up a potential Unlife or something like that. So none of the other cards really do a whole lot. I mean, you could make a case for taking Ephemerate. You could make a case for taking like Batterskull because it like shortens the clock. But like my plan at the moment was like if they spend a turn Stoneforging in Batterskull, I could just path the Germ and kind of get 2 time walks out of it. Okay, so they play another land and pass, so they're going to Stoneforge in something, probably. So I get an Oracle here, because if we top deck a land, we just win. And we top deck a land, so we just win. Alright, on to game 3. Okay, so game 3 we have a decent hand here, and we have a couple lands, a Pentad and Unlife. We don't really have any interaction, which I don't love, but we do have all the combo pieces. So we're just looking to, like, turn 2 play a Pentad, turn 3 play an Unlife, and then, you know, kill them on turn 4. They have a Giver of Runes, that's kind of whatever. Slaughter Pact is pretty bad against that. Because they have a Thalia. So now I just need to draw a land so I can play the Pentad Prism. They have a Stoneforge. We don't, or no, end step I spoils for a land, because I think it's like important enough that we hit a land here that I can afford to spoils for it. They don't have too much clock on the board, and this way I can play Pentad, and then the turn after that I can play Unlife, and then the turn after that I can kill them. So as long as I don't spoil myself to death or to really low, then you know, if it's somewhere in like the top, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 cards, then I feel pretty okay. But it is not. I'm at 3, and so this is bad. And so I play the land, and then I play the Pentad, figuring that if they attack, I actually put a decent amount of thought in here, because I mean, so kind of my only play is to play the Pentad. I could also like spoils for or Grace, but no, actually that doesn't work. Literally my only play is to play the Pentad. Nothing else works. Out of Time doesn't work. Unlife doesn't work, because they're both 3 mana and they have a Thalia in play. But I play the Unlife. I play the Pentad, and now I am at 3. So if they attack with Thalia and Stoneforge, they kill me. If they attack with Giver of Runes and Thalia, or all 3, I can Slaughter Pact the Thalia, because they've tapped the Giver of Runes in order to attack. And the thing is, they probably think that I'm going to play a Grace here. So if they think I'm going to play a Grace here, and they don't have like another play, they might have some piece of equipment they'd like to Stoneforge in. So there's a decent chance that they attack with the Giver and the Thalia, and they actually think about this for a while. They hover various different attacks, and then they do attack with the Thalia and the Giver, so I get to Slaughter Pact the Thalia. Now, next turn, I'm looking at paying the Slaughter Pact, and then playing either Out of Time or Unlife. Out of Time's pretty good against Stoneforge, because like, if they don't activate it, then they lose the ability to activate it, and if they do activate it, then the germ just goes away, so who cares? So like, it's kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Okay, so I'm like, you know, maybe we can claw our way out of this, right? Like, I can pay it, play the Unlife even, and then like, well, then I just have enough mana the turn after that to kill with Spoils and Oracle. So as long as they don't have like a Flicker Wisp or something, I'm pretty good. The Field of Ruin, the Seachrome Coast, that does not matter at all. And then they have land drop second Thalia. So sure, they're playing an 80 card deck, and they hit second Thalia. They had 2 in the top, you know, 10 cards or whatever. So then we can't play either Out of Time or Unlife, and we lose. Sadness. Sometimes it happens, you know, that's how it goes. Alright. So, match number 4. Against ban Veil of Summer. So, I remember thinking, like, I wonder how much of a joke this name is. Like, are they playing, like, Burn where they do not give a shit about Veil of Summer? Are they, like, playing a Veil of Summer deck? Are they playing, like, Shadow and actually hate Veil of Summer? You know, this could mean so many things. I open up with a hand that is okay. I mean, it does have the combo, but it has, like, the slow version of the combo with Wishclaw and Unlife. However, I mean, I do have some mana. This Jace is kind of redundant, but like whatever. I mean, maybe it'll do something. And so we lead with the Shelldock. Our goal here is going to be play to either Pentad or Wishclaw on turn 2, and I mean we hit an Oracle, so hey, that's even better, right? Okay, they play a Bauble, and look at my top card. They see a Seachrome Coast. I mean, drawing the land there is quite good. That's kind of exactly what I want. And then I play the Pentad Prism, because it's not a black land. I could have maybe made a case for playing like the Pathway and then playing the Wishclaw. And the turn after that, I get to play the Unlife. But like, I played the land that they knew I had from the Bauble because they baubled me and saw the Seachrome. And this way, if I draw, hang on a second, no, Wishclaw, and the turn after that, play Pentad, or play Unlife, versus Pentad, play Unlife. It's really equivalent. In either case, if I top deck a land in the next couple turns, 2 turns, then I can kill the turn after I play Unlife. If I play either the Prism or the Wishclaw here. So it kind of doesn't matter. It's like worst case, I could use the Prism mana to just play the Wishclaw later at no additional like time loss if I needed to. So I'd actually maybe say playing the Prism first gives me a bit more flexibility. I could play the Jace or something if I wanted to. So I guess it is right to play the Prism here. Alright, they get a tapped land in Shadow, which seems kind of insane to me given that I'm not going to pressure your life total. So that would suggest to me that I mean, listen, I don't want to like attack anyone, but I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't get an untapped land if you're playing Shadow against a combo deck that can't pressure your life total. They cycle some more Baubles. I'm reading how they've held up mana as the fact that they probably have a stub. I draw a Pact, and I just play the Unlife. Sure, you know, no problem. They cycle some Street Wraiths now. They thought Season take our Thassa's Oracle, which is wrong. They should take Wishclaw there. I mean, they literally see the Jace. So even if they weren't expecting the Shelldock to have anything, like taking Thassa's Oracle is wrong. You should take Wishclaw. And then they play Gurmag Angler. And then I draw a Profane Tutor. I play Wishclaw, and then I also suspend the Profane Tutor. Because I don't actually need the 5th mana, so it's kind of free to suspend the Profane Tutor. And now next turn I could go for it with Claw if I wanted, or in 2 turns I could Profane for a second Pact. Just kind of gives me extra options. Expressive Iteration. They get a Tarn. They attack me down to 15. I draw a land for turn, and I do decide to go for it here. This is kind of an interesting spot because I'm thinking about what are the chances that they have 2 stub. So I mean, I have 1 stub beat with Pact, and you know, if I get spoils, I spoils. They stub the spoils. I Pact the stub. They let my Pact resolve, and if they let my Pact resolve and then stub the spoils again, then they have a Wishclaw, sure, and I have this Pact trigger ticking. But the thing is, if they use the Wishclaw, they lose on my upkeep. And if they don't use the Wishclaw, they lose on my upkeep. Because what I do is I stack the I stack the Pact trigger below the Profane Tutor unsuspend, and then I Profane for a Spoils, and then I Spoils Oracle on my upkeep in response to the Pact trigger. Or if they use the Wish Claw and get like a third stub or something like that, I can just Profane Tutor for a Spoils, Wish Claw the third charge for a Pact, and then have a Pact defended Oracle in response to my Pact trigger. So I get to try here kind of for free, because even if they have double stub, I have the ability to try again. You know, they need triple stub is really what they need. So I think I'm willing to take my shot on that. Because even if they have double stub here, it's not too bad. It doesn't get better for me by waiting necessarily. So I get Spoils. I'm very proud of all that analysis regarding double stub, and then it turns out that it just resolves and they don't even have one stub. So yeah. And then I just win. Oh, and then they fatal push the Oracle because they don't know how Oracle works, probably. Okay. Again, I'm kind of shit-talking my opponent. Opponent, if you're watching this, I'm not shit-talking you. I'm sorry. I just mean, like, you know, there's no reason to fatal push the Oracle. Like, it doesn't do anything. Alright. So, onward we go. Oh, wait. We'll max out. Go to game 2. Oh, and notably, our opponent is on Shadow, so they are very much a someone who is embracing the name Ben Veil of Summer seriously, not ironically, perhaps. You know, given that it like counters their deck pretty well. Okay. So, turn 1, you might have seen that flash there for like a second. I have like some abysmal triple Oracle hand that I get on my 7, so then I throw that away. Then I get this 6, which is pretty reasonable. I have 2 combo pieces and a Slight and some mana. So they open up with a Thoughtseize and take my Slight, which I think is pretty bad. I think you could make an argument in favor of Bloom, you could make an argument in favor of Spoils. I don't think there's a great argument in favor of Slight. And I don't really think there's a great argument in favor of Pentad either. So we draw a land, so that's pretty good. Suspend Bloom. I play the land that they saw. There's no reason to give them this information. I can just play this on 2 and then play the Pentad off of it. So we draw an Angel's Grace, which is lovely because now we have our full combo. And I play the Pentad, hoping to bait a stub actually, but they don't. They don't do it if they have it. They thought they Inquisition and they take a Spoils, which is very, very, very questionable. I think you take the missing card, or like you take the card that I don't have redundancy of. I draw a Clearwater Pathway. They bauble. My Bloom comes off Suspend, and then I top deck a Jace, which is great because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana, so 4, 5, 6. Even if they have a stub, because they don't have a creature with power 4 or greater, I can just win directly through it. And if they have a Mystical Dispute, because this is post-board, I can play the Jace first, and if they have Mystical Dispute, I can just pay it and put the Jace into play. And I think that might have been what they had based on the fact that they like paused on the Jace. But then they let it resolve, and now I don't have blue cards, so they can't play Mystical Dispute for 1 anymore. So then I Spoils Grace. And they tap for something, but maybe they have like a spell pierce, but that doesn't matter, and I don't know if they realized that they could let the Grace resolve and then respond to the spoils. I mean, sometimes, I mean, this is a little bit cheesy, but like, stack your stuff correctly, just because, again, maybe they had a Dispel, and they would have gotten me here. Now, even if they have a Dispel, I think we're pretty favored, because we just have this Jason play, and they have one land, but like, maybe they had a Dispel, and didn't realize that they can let the Grace resolve, and then Dispel the spoils, so just like, that's not really angle shooting or something like that, that's just kind of making use of, like, kind of knowing what misconceptions your opponent might have and then letting them fall into those misconceptions. It's angle shooting if you like tell them, oh, you know, this like can't be countered, or like basically just like make sure you're letting them making things look like, basically set them up to make a mistake, but don't do it in a way that like is not necessarily fully within the bounds of the rules. Now on Moto, there's, I mean, anything is fair game, just because there is no outside the bounds of the rules, because it's enforced by, I mean, you can say what you want about the rule engine and like Moto's client and whatnot, but it's just enforced by the game system, so just do whatever you want. Alright. Alright, we're here with round 5. Whoops. And so let's see what we're up against. Well, I already know, but, you know, let's show off what we're up against. So our 7 is unplayable. We have no lands. This is better. I think it's unlikely that I need 2 Wish Claws, so I'm going to get rid of a Wish Claw here. Okay, so I mean, we do need to find like a land, but this is not bad. So we're up against Dredge. We suspend the Profane Tutor, and now this is a little bit awkward, because the thing is, like, I can't play this on life next turn, but like if I played the Shell Dock there, then I don't get to suspend the Tutor. So really kind of what I'm hoping for here is that like I can play the Wish Claw next turn, and then the turn after that I can just play the Unlife, and then that gives me enough turns to draw into a land, or no, that means I can get the land off of the Profane Tutor, and then if the Shell Dock hits, do that, or if I don't hit with the Shell Dock, then I can hopefully draw a land in the next couple turns, and then Wish Claw for spoils, and then have 4 lands in play with the Unlife. So this is a little bit slow, but it's like very good defensively, because I just get to play this Unlife. Now the thing is, our opponent on turn 2 hits all 4 Creeping Chills, and we're at 5. So our opponent is a very, very lucky Magic player. And so now I can't play the Wish Claw because I'm just dead to Conflagrate. So I have to hold up the Grace. And things just kind of start snowballing out of control. I don't hit the Oracle with Shell Dock. Excuse me. I bring back Bloodghast, and I have to Grace. And now I have to get a land so that I can play Unlife. I do draw spoils, which is something. And now I just need to top deck a land so that I can spoils Jace. And I don't, so we lose. So if they had not hit all 4 creeping chills, then I would have been able to play the Wish Claw, live and attack, and maybe they could have only hit 2. Hit 2. If they hit 2, I'm fine, and I win this game. If they hit 3, I'd have to go back and count it. I might be fine. I'm not sure. And obviously hitting 4, just sometimes your opponent just high rolls. And even then, we had outs. I mean, if we just draw an untapped land, we win. So I mean, they massively high rolled, and then we still had about a 33% chance of winning. A little worse than 33%. Let's say maybe 25% or so, but still. Okay. So, game 2. So, let's see what happens here. I mean, spoilers. We're gonna win this one because you saw that there's a game 3. So this hand is pretty good. We have enough mana, so what I'm actually going to get rid of the Pentad here. We don't need it. And then the reason I'm getting rid of the Pentad and not the Bloom is kind of the reason that I lean a little bit heavier to Bloom rather than Pentad with this deck in general, because we have a 2-drop here already, so it kind of is awkward to play the Profane and the Pentad. It's you have to play the Profane and then your Pentad is late, so instead Bloom and Profane, suspend the Bloom on turn 1, suspend the Profane on turn 2, they line up super nicely. Just both coming off suspend on 4. Okay. So we open with Slight, we take Oracle, that is very good because now we just have the combo. Profane will get an Angel's Grace. Suspend the Profane. Our opponent does some milling. Both of them tick down. We draw Bloom, but it's kind of irrelevant. We're suspended anyway. Maybe if they have a discard spell, then I might get into a spot where I want to be able to play this Jace in order to win. So it's better to suspend the Bloom there because there is enough of a chance that it's relevant that it's not worth the hold it in your hand and bluff angle. But they just don't really get off to too fast of a start, and then we just kill them. So yeah. All right, game 3. So game 3, we are up against or no, we're still up against Dredge. Our hand is actually, this hand is better than it looks. I mean, we have double spoils, but we can spoils for a blue card, and if we have 5 lands, so if we top deck either a Bloom or we draw a Pentad or something like that, on turn 4 we'll have 5 mana and we can just spoils for Oracle, and then spoils, and then Oracle. And it's possible that the Unlife on 3 buys us enough time to just do that naturally on turn 5 with lands anyway. So they mull to 3 cards, which sometimes happens with Dredge. And they open on a Shriekhorn. We just play a land. They mill and they don't hit a Dredger, which is nice. Turn 2, I mean, I draw the Wish Claw. The Wish Claw is not really relevant, but might as well play it out. Maybe it'll eat a removal spell if they have one. They do a little bit more milling. I think they hit a Loam or something like that. So their hand is going a little bit slow, as might be expected from all the 3. So we play an Unlife, and then they play an Ox, which is fine. Sure, they Creeping Chill and get a Bloodghast into play, but we draw our 4th land, and now... Oh wait, no, it wasn't turn... That hand... Yeah, because we have the Unlife in play, we only need 4 mana, so we just had a turn 4 in our opening hand with Unlife, so that's, like, amazing. So kind of, yeah, just retake that evaluation that I was giving it at the beginning and just realize that it's, like, better than what I was even initially saying. Yeah, so we just get to spoils for Oracle, and then spoils away the rest of our deck and win. So, you know, Dredge, live by the high roll, die by the low roll, or something like that. And we get a pretty nice 4-1. Kind of illustrating the power of redundancy. I think Profane Tutor definitely had some good moments here. And I think the deck still could use some tuning, and I'll have to think about, you know, kind of where to take it from here, but I like a lot of what's going on here. I think that the very high density of combo pieces is quite interesting, and definitely the angle that I'm looking to go forward with this in the future. That being said, I don't know if it's better than the inverter shells or not. I kind of think it might be, because it's trying to do the same type of thing the inverter shells are doing, except it's just kind of more mana efficient. You don't have a sometimes clunky 4-drop. And you don't really mess around with your graveyard. You just don't care about your graveyard at all. So I kind of think it might be doing the inverter thing better than inverter was. Maybe. Which is a shame, because, you know, inverter's pretty sweet as far as, like, the Esper build and stuff like that. I don't really love the blue-black one just because it feels like not reliable enough to me. Well, anyway, well, take care, and until next time, maybe keep on... I was trying to come up with how to turn Profane Tutor into an adjective, but whatever. Keep on Profane Tutoring.